Hey guys, so this is Coach Frazier once again. We are getting towards, well, we're past the midway point, but you're coming up on your midterm in health, and as I've told you before, it's 40% of your grade right now, and then once the final's up, that'll be make up the other 40% for assessments. So, wanted to give you guys a couple heads up and show you some resources to help you do well in the midterm, as well as give you the study guide so you can start looking at that. I'm going to give you a lot of information right now. It's not to overwhelm you, but it's just to inform you. I'd rather you have all the information than not enough. So first off, you're going to find this nutrition packet PDF. It is 9 pages, and it's for you to do. This assignment is kind of unique, and I'm going to use the honor system. And I do not expect you to turn this assignment in. I'm going to post it up. If you want to print it out and work on it, that would be awesome. But you can do it on a separate piece of paper, however you want to complete it. In order to get credit for the assignment, you simply have to click turn in and say, Coach, I got it. That's all you have to type to me. Coach, I got it in the response area. Okay, so just click turn in and write, Coach, I got it. And what you're telling me is that you went through the document, you read the pages, you did the work, and you understand how to read a nutrition label, which is going to be very important going into the midterm, okay? So if you kind of look at this, the first page here is going to explain to you exactly what to do. If you read it from top to bottom, it's very self-explanatory. It's very easy, simple math. You should be able to figure it out. If you need any help, if you have a hard time, please ask me if you can't get the information from a friend. So then you're going to, excuse me, I've put a page of nutrition facts on there so you can practice some more if you would like, and you can use different numbers to practice with. Then down here, this page is actually going to explain to you how to read the nutrition label again and tell you how to use the numbers. It's going to ask you to do some math using these 3 labels. It's going to want you to find the answers here. So again, very, very simple, very quick. If you can do that, you'll be fine on the midterm. Then as you scroll down, it's taking a step further, and there's more practice for you to do. So just practicing using nutrition labels. If you do the first couple pages and you feel like you've got it, then great. If you do all 9 pages, I would suggest that. But if not, well, that's on you. That's your choice. This assignment, however, is 75 points. So when you tell me that you've got it and you go into that midterm, if you don't do well, that will be on you, because you need to understand this concept. So I wanted to show you that. Secondly, let's talk about the study guide for the midterm. So here's the midterm study guide. This is what I will post on Edmodo. Sorry, you hear my child screaming in the background. But this study guide, it goes in the exact order of the midterm, okay? The midterm requires a lot of writing, so you need to know your concepts. There is some multiple choice, but there's a lot of writing, okay? Look over this. It's going to tell you about physical activity, smoking, weight, diet. This chart is on the midterm, and I'm asking you to recreate the chart. So you need to put it, you don't have to, but you can put it word for word, verbatim, exactly what's on this chart. And that is just fine for answering that question. As you go through, know the uncontrollable risk factors, be able to explain at least 2 reasons why motor vehicle accidents are the highest cause of death in the age group of 15 to 24. So give you some examples on that. Peer pressure, drinking and driving, texting and driving, okay? So give me 2 reasons and explain it. The key word in that phrase is explain it. Most people did not explain it last year. They gave me 2, but they didn't tell me why they picked those 2 or why they feel those 2 are the 2 highest. Excuse me. Know the 6 health risk behaviors and their definitions. Be able to give an example of each one. Very, very straightforward, very self-explanatory. Know the 6 components of health and be able to give 2 examples of each one. You don't need to be able to give me an example of those. Just be able to list them, and we will be good. Don't worry about giving me an example on those. Okay? Know the 4 benefits of high self-esteem, as you'll be required to read a passage reflecting attributes of each benefit. These are the 4 benefits. I will post another document up here probably later on in the week that will help you to understand those benefits. The way that the test is set up, you're going to read different scenarios, and you're going to have to pick which one of these fits in that scenario. So I'll say Jack and Jill, went to a party. They were offered drugs, and they decided that they didn't want to do that. Which one is this? And you'll say, okay, that's an increased respect for yourself. So that's how it's going to work. Pretty simple, but you need to know them. Be able to read a food label like I told you. Be able to evaluate an individual's diet and activity. Make the proper corrections to it. You will do that later on in the week. I will have an assignment up for you there. I'm going to give you some information on nutrition, and you will be fine. Have an understanding of concepts such as carbohydrates, water, protein, fat, metabolism, and calories. You'll be fine. No recommended amounts and definitions. Again, I will post a video that I go through the PowerPoint for you and tell you what's important to know, so that way you're not wasting your time going through the whole PowerPoint trying to figure out exactly what you need to know. But I will go through that with you, and I will make sure that you know exactly what it is you should be studying. Okay, this is the biggest part of the final. Knowing the various chronic and infectious diseases. There's 2 different scenarios you have to do. One is you have to read, excuse me, you have to read about the disease that I pick, and you have to tell me which one it is. And that's for both chronic and infectious. And then the other one is you have to write a diagnosis to me telling me that I've been diagnosed with whatever it is that you may pick. So you would say something like, "Dear Mr. Frazier, I regret to inform you that you have been diagnosed with a stroke." Stroke is sometimes known as a brain attack, which happens when clotting stops the blood supply from flowing to the brain. So you'll go in more depth than that, but that's kind of the gist of what I'm looking for. Okay? If you read this, it tells you exactly what you have. You need to have the disease, the signs and symptoms, some facts about the disease, and treatment for the disease. Okay? Signs and symptoms are not the same as facts. Signs and symptoms would be, Coach Frazier, you're going to have numbness in your right arm, loss of speech, loss of coordination. Those are signs and symptoms. Facts would be stroke kills 130,000 Americans per year. One person in every 4 minutes dies from a stroke. So those are facts. Those are much different from signs and symptoms. So make sure that you know that. And then treatment for the disease. It could be anything from what I eat to how I work out. That would be treatment for the disease. So making sure that I get proper nutrition or adequate exercise. Okay? That is a huge part of the 50 points. That chapter 13 and 14 is 25 of the 50 points. So making sure you do a really good job on that would be vital to you. And like I said, it is writing intensive. There are multiple choice questions, but there is a lot of writing in this midterm. If you feel like you'd rather do the midterm on paper, you have that option. Please let me know ahead of time so I know how many I need to print out, and we can set a time and date for you to come take the midterm in the classroom with me as opposed to doing it online at home. So I know that some people, I don't really like taking the tests online. I'd much rather do it in person on paper, okay? With that being said, I don't want anyone to stress out about that part, the infectious and chronic disease. You should have done your assignments and looked them up, and you should have a good understanding of them now. Here's a hint. This PDF that I have on the Edmodo site, I'll show it to you again. This is where you will find the chronic diseases that I will give you. So heart disease and stroke, cancer, the next one's diabetes, arthritis, obesity. Sorry, my computer's going a little slow. Obesity, and then respiratory diseases, okay? I will only pick out of these 7 oral conditions, that's the last one. I will only pick out of those 7. I will not pick any others because I don't think it's fair for you to have to, possibly think of every chronic disease. So I'll only pick out of those 7. Out of those 7, you can write your story, your diagnosis from me, and then hopefully you'll know them well enough that you can pick out which one that I put on the midterm. My advice to everyone is to write 2 pre-made diagnoses for me for both chronic and infectious disease. So I'd have 2 for chronic diseases and 2 for infectious disease. The reason that I tell everyone to do that is because if I pick malaria for the disease that I want you to find, and so you're reading in the test, you say, oh, that's malaria, but then you were going to write about malaria and diagnose me with malaria, that will not be allowed, okay? If I pick your disease and then you go into the test and you say, oh crap, I only had 1 and he wrote stroke, so now I don't know what to write, well then you won't get any credit for writing to me about stroke because I basically gave you the answer in the question beforehand. So if you do stroke and obesity, then if I write about stroke, you can tell me, you know, Coach Ray, you've been diagnosed with obesity. I don't really know if you're diagnosed with obesity, but you get the point. So have 2 ready to go. So if one is not, one is taken, you can use the other one. Okay. So that's where you'll find your chronic diseases. Where you will find your infectious disease is another PDF that I've placed on the Edmodo site, so I'll show you that. But in this PDF, so here are the different infectious diseases. Bacterial pneumonia, you can just say pneumonia. Influenza, also known as the flu. The plague, viral pneumonia, okay? Those are the only ones that I will pick, and malaria, add malaria into your group. But those are the only ones that I will pick for the infectious diseases. Again, those start on page 6 of that PDF, and bacterial pneumonia, influenza, the plague, viral pneumonia, and then malaria. Add malaria to your list. Those are the only ones that I will pick from. Now, now that you have all the possible choices for the that portion of the midterm, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is a great website to use. Please do not use anything else but this website when you're trying to get your information and put stuff together. So if we click on the A through Z index, I clicked S, you can find exactly what you're looking for. So you can find, okay, I'm gonna look up stroke. Okay, so I got to scroll down a little bit. But there it is. So I find stroke, I click stroke, and then it gives me all the information I can ever ask for. Okay, here's some facts about it. Stroke is the 4th leading cause of death in the United States. A stroke occurs when the blood supply to the brain is blocked or when a blood vessel in the brain ruptures, causing brain tissue to die. So it gives me everything I need. And then if I come over here, I can get some more statistics. I can get facts. I mean, there's everything in here. If you just kind of look through this website a little bit, it will tell you everything. It will tell you the signs and symptoms. Let's go here. Signs and symptoms. So about stroke, signs and symptoms. So right there, some of the most important signs and symptoms. And it gives you everything on this website. Treatments. You need to have treatments. It tells you treatments here. So please, please, please just use the CDC website. Do not use any other websites because that is going to confuse you. And then finally, let me show you on Edmodo where you can find these PDFs. So the last one that I just showed you about infectious disease is right here. If you click on this PDF, Act 2M, I don't know why it's named that, but it is. But that is where you will find the PDF for the information that you need. And then if you click on the chronic disease PDF, chronic disease.pdf, this one is where you will find the chronic disease information. So having both of these and only using those to find the different diseases and maybe get some general information, and then you can back it up using the CDC website, is vital, vital, vital. That would help you out tremendously. So I'm going to post a lot of stuff in this post. It's going to have the link to the video that I just made. It's going to have both PDFs. It's going to have the study guide, and then it's going to have the nutrition packet that you need to finish, as well as the nutrition PowerPoint. I don't expect you can go in right now and look at the nutrition PowerPoint on your own if you want to get a head start, but I will post another video of me explaining exactly the different things you need to know and what's important, what's not important. But I would suggest that you go ahead and look at it on your own so you do have that. Okay? As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to get back to me. Please do not wait till the last minute on this. It's a huge part of your grade, and it can really help you out. Those of you who have lower grades, if you do a really good job on this, it can bring your grade up. So that's my hope. I hope that you guys do well on it. And if you have any questions, come find me.